The Civic Centre in Cape Town is playing host to the official inauguration of the 8th Vice-Chancellor and Rector, Professor Robert John Balfour. While he took office at the start of the year, his inauguration marks the beginning of his tenure. Now, Balfour says the University of the Western Cape must be centred around community, and during his reign, there will be a strong focus on this aspect to enhance learning. Our reporter Mariska Botha was in conversation with Balfour shortly before the official ceremony.
We are at the Civic Centre in Cape Town today where a very auspicious occasion is taking place. Professor Robert John Balfour will be installed officially as the 8th Rector and Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Western Cape. Of course, he took up the post on the 1st of January, but today he will be officially inaugurated. Let's not waste any time and let's speak to the man himself. Professor Balfour, thank you very much for joining us and congratulations on this day. First of all, tell us, where would you like to see UWC go under your direction?
I'd like it to be a place where communities and industry come to for solutions for society, Mariska. I think the university is wonderfully situated in Belleville and also in other areas of Cape Town. It is truly an anchor institution. It's so famous for its innovation in science and so in touch with communities in terms of solutions for health and our economy and also for the environment. I would like to see us become that leading research institution that has real impact and value for our communities.
Your CV is very, very long with qualifications all over. But I see here that one of your commitments is to advance language learning, rural education and post-colonial studies. How do you endeavour to do that?
Well, that's certainly areas of my expertise. I think the areas that I've become really excited about are, of course, in my own disciplinary fields. But multilingualism is absolutely key to student success. The languages that our students bring to the classroom are resources for learning. They underpin student success. Throughput rates and so on depend on high levels of literacy. So our institution should be those kinds of places where the languages students bring are resources. The literatures that we have and which thrive in our communities are part of our curricula. The science which we innovate in is part of the change we make in our environment. And all of those are, I think, commitments that I want to take forward in the next few years.
And this is very interesting, rural education. What is that all about and how would you like to advance that under your rule?
So many of our young people come from rural communities, and schools in rural communities are special places for communities. In their ideal form, they are centres of learning. They are not only places where you go to learn, they are centres of learning. And when we think about teacher education and rurality and the rural community, we think of teachers as a resource, not only for the education project, not only for the schooling and curriculum, but leaders in communities. So our teacher education programs, I'm convinced, are producing leaders for society, not only leaders in our classrooms. And in rural schools, that matters especially because of the lack of proximity to urban areas, urban resources, and the like. So instead of thinking of rurality as that faraway place, that faraway community, we think of it as a resource in itself. And that when we educate teachers, we think of communities particularly that are far placed, but are not necessarily far away from knowledge.
And also we've been hearing a call from students for the longest time now about the decolonization of education. How do you understand that concept, and is it something that you will pursue?
So much debate has occurred about decolonization. My view is that it is not so much about the replacement of Western forms of knowledge, but about the proper recognition that African and indigenous forms of knowledge, even outside of Africa, have a place in the curriculum, and that if we want learning to be impactful, if we want it to be accessible and relevant to our students, it needs to be relocated to the center of curriculum. Indigenous knowledge forms, even in our communities, are knowledge forms that have an impact in science. They influence the way children learn mathematics. So my sense is that we are not, in a sense, asking for a displacement of knowledges, but rather the proper recognition of the place of African and indigenous knowledge systems in our curricular space.
Do you see UWC playing a leading role in that?
I think UWC is ideally placed, Mariska, to play a leading role in that. It is a place where people come to because of their aspirations for a future that is uniquely African, that is born out of a history of struggle and activism that is so much about communities, really. And so UWC is a good place to begin those discussions for our students, for ourselves as communities, but also for the wider academy to contribute to that national debate about the role of decolonization in the curriculum, why it's important for learning, how it underpins even student success and throughput.
And some nitty-gritty, affordability to study remains a big issue. Under your reign, how do you see tackling this issue unfolding?
Yes, thank you. So we have a national challenge concerning student debt and also student funding. We know that NSFAS is a wonderful resource for many young people, but we have also a considerable number of young people who are not able to access NSFAS funding. We also have students who are without funding, who have exceeded, for example, the conditions of the NSFAS award. And so student indebtedness is an acute social issue that needs a national conversation. It's very clear, even globally, that sustaining high levels of student debt is not healthy for the economy, it's let alone for individual universities. So we have to really think better, think afresh about how we approach the value of education, what education is for, why people need it.